Hi, my name is Jessie. I'm really happy to be here because I have something very important to share with you. Everyone needs to know what science is discovering about babies. I've asked some grown-ups to help me explain a new field of psychology that's all about me. Well, not just about me, about all babies, because what goes on in the early part of babies' lives is the foundation for everything that happens later. Here's Dr. David Chamberlain to tell you what people are learning about babies.
Prenatal and perinatal psychology is a new science about the first stages of human development, the very first, from before conception to a little after the birth. This phase of development has been barely noticed in the past. And it was only in the 20th century that the veil was lifted and we could actually observe what was going on in the womb.
Coming into life is a miraculous process. Science can now show us how both babies and stars are born. These are bubbling gases in distant space, a celestial nursery where stars are formed. And this is a fertilized egg, only 1 day old. This is an image of the sun. And here is a human being now 25 days old. Isn't this amazing? Creation looks much the same whether you look into the heavens at a giant nebula or into the womb at a baby just being conceived. Welcome to Babies Know, 7 Principles of Prenatal and Perinatal Psychology. There are 7 principles babies know and really want to share with you. The first thing that babies want you to know is that conception, pregnancy, and birth are natural processes. Dr. Chamberlain and others are going to tell you more about this.
In the late 20th century, we knew so much more about babies than was ever known in the whole history of the world, that we began to see that a baby is not what we expected. This is not a dumb baby, this is a smart baby. This baby has feelings and shows the feelings by its motions, its body language par excellence. You can read that body language looking in on the womb.
Here's a picture of me before I was born. It's possible for babies to be born in a natural way, just like other animals. Now Dr. Eva Gunberg tells us more.
Human beings are mammals, and all mammals have babies. And the delivery is really the whole process of conception, pregnancy and birth is a physiological process. Absolutely easy, absolutely possible to do without any difficulties.
If mommies have quality information and caring support, they and their babies can have an optimal birth experience. We've all been through conception, gestation, and birth, but don't consciously remember what it was like. Dr. Daniel Siegel is going to describe how we really do remember.
People often say that what difference does the early period of life before birth or after birth really matter, because they say children don't remember that period. But you know, when you really study memory and the way the brain develops, what you find is that the connections in the brain are being shaped by experiences even before birth. And so these periods of time are very important. The fact is, there's a kind of memory called implicit memory, which is our behaviors, our perceptions, our emotions, even our bodily sensations that get remembered in this implicit form. And it's the other kind of memory called explicit memory, which begins to form around 18 months of age and begins to develop in more sophisticated ways as the child develops, that people are often referring to when they say, well, we don't remember that early period. So the fact is, experiences do matter, and there's science to show that experiences shape the structure of the brain.
We are recording and remembering every experience even as our brains are developing. Before I was born, my mommy and I experienced everything together. Mommies and babies are so closely connected that everything that moms feel, babies feel too. The second valuable thing babies want you to know is that pregnant mothers and babies share experiences. Dr. Eva Gunberg describes this for us.
There is really an energy connection between the mother and the child to be. Strong feeling between mother and child, but also between father and child, will go on during the whole pregnancy. And the babies first will just be in contact from hormonal point of view, telepathic point of view, but also hearing the vibration of the voice of the mother, feeling all the noises in her body, feel her heart, the heartbeats.
From the beginning, babies are learning about love, heart to heart. The heart is the first organ to form in a baby's body. It starts to beat in just 22 days.
It's all part of the development of the baby emotionally and physically, because the influence, the love or the hostility, and the nourishment or the starvation that the mother and father provide to this baby growing in the womb affects how the body can grow and how the brain can develop. It's prenatal psychology as we see it, because we think the psyche of the baby is very much alive, and we have lots of evidence to show that. But people don't know it yet, and we need to talk about it constantly to give people, to open the womb and let them see inside, and be able to redefine in their own mind what a baby is. It's not something wooden. It's not inert. It's not passive. It's not a passenger in the womb. It is a participant in the womb. It's part of everything the mother is doing.
It's really important that the mom learn along the way to differentiate her experience from the baby's experience, and for the baby to be wanted and to know that the baby is loved.
Daddy and I love you so very much.
And to separate out those stresses that the mom is having. And then when the mom is very happy, the baby can know, all is well.
Science is revealing that babies share experiences with their mommies and remember them. As early as 7 weeks after conception, babies can sense by smelling and touching. By 14 weeks, they can taste, by 20, hear, and by 24 weeks, see. The third thing babies know and really want you to know is that babies are conscious, aware, and expressive. Dr. Renee van de Kar says more about babies.
The baby inside the womb is already a thinking person. Now, their thought isn't exactly like yours or mine right now, but it's nevertheless continuous thought, feelings, attitudes, emotions.
The baby is never without awareness and consciousness. Baby is watching and listening all the time and learning from every experience. So we know so much now about the development of the senses in the womb that we know they're hearing very early. And what they're hearing, of course, mostly is the mother's voice. They're fascinated with mother's voice. And what they learn is, guess what? Mother's tongue. I think most mothers have an innate sense to talk to the baby. They refer to it as our baby. They talk about the baby, and sometimes they talk right to the baby. And that was the exactly right thing to do.
I find it really sweet to talk with you in the mornings when I wake up. And I love it when your dad, before he leaves every morning, comes and gives you a kiss right around here. And then you do a little thump thump back.
There are times in playing with the baby before the baby's born that's really wonderful to just have some back and forth time. And the baby will participate in play, and mom and dad are happy and having a good time together and really want to involve the baby.
We express ourselves without using words, by giving cues. At first by our movements, then, after we are born, by our facial expressions, breathing, posture, gestures, and sounds. Even cries are cues. Babies notice everything, and everyone makes a difference. The people closest to us, like Mommy and Daddy, make the greatest impressions. The fourth idea we want to share is that babies need loving support for optimal development. We know that good things happen when parents and babies spend loving time together.
It's important to understand that when the babies come in, they're making conclusions. They have an experience, they have emotions, and they take decisions. And they take decisions about themselves and about the world. So if I come in with a normal, natural, soft birth, I will say, wow, I can do this. I can. If I have a nice atmosphere around, I will say, I'm worthwhile. The world is nice. People love me. I'm important. And that are decisions for a lifetime. That will make you go through your life, whatever happens, with that feeling, I can do this. I'm worthwhile. People anyhow will love me, and the world is surely the best place we can be. So let's be really nice and soft and loving to the babies, and let us tell them, you know, we love you, we were waiting for you, you're really the best.
We love hearing those words from people who care about us, especially daddies. Research is showing that daddies make a big difference even before we're born.
Children, after they're born, light up right in the delivery room when their father speaks to them. Because they learned that voice and they attach a lot of importance to it.
Each cell in our bodies responds to nurturing and comforting, allowing it to grow and develop, or, under stress, protect itself. Stress interferes with optimal growth and development. Loving support allows cells and babies to become the best they can be. The fifth principle is important because babies' first relationships lay the foundation for all relationships.
Attachment is a very critical thing for a child's life. It lays the foundation for all future relationships. And attachment really begins in the womb. It begins with being wanted, being supported, having mom and dad playing and loving and connecting with the baby before it's ever born. And then when the birth process is happening, to stay connected with the baby. Attachment is a biological imperative. All mammals attach. Our survival depends on it. And it's very helpful to our babies when we're very conscious about their attaching from the few first moments of life. And then throughout, especially throughout the first year, for the baby to be held and loved, sung to have some movement, perhaps carrying the baby in a sling, taking the baby with you, sleeping with the baby, having that sense of oneness for the first 9 months to a year of life. because every relationship the baby will have for the rest of its life depends on its first relationships.
And security of attachment is really like a source of resilience. It's like an immunity that's given that allows them to deal with stress in the future, allows them to have relationships that do well, allows them to balance their emotions, allows them really to have a brain that's able to engage in all sorts of opportunities in the future to realize their potential. There are different functions that attachment serves. So one function is connection, to allow children to feel very close and comforted and protected and nurtured. But another function of attachment is to give children the opportunity to go out and explore, to be able to regulate their own anxieties, maybe touching base back at home, the home base being the parent, and then going out. And so this balance between connection and exploration is just something an attachment figure can offer. Well, you can't spoil a child less than 12 months of age. You know, they're crying out because they need connection.
Babies need to feel connected to the people around them. That's how they learn to regulate their feelings and emotions. Dr. Glenn has suggestions for caregivers.
Slow down, be more present, have eye contact, notice facial expression, touch, tone of voice, posture and gestures. All of these things help with attachment at any age.
Babies are learning how to relate to others from the very beginning. Romantic relationships, friendships, and associations all reflect the quality of our first relationships. Genes help form the basic structure of our brains and bodies. Science now says what we babies have always known. Early experiences guide nature in selecting which genes will shape our growth, creating different patterns in our nervous systems. The sixth concept that babies want to share is that experience dramatically affects the development of babies' brains.
There are people who misleadingly say that there's a debate of nature versus nurture, and they'll say genes are 100% responsible for how we turn out. And those people are creating false arguments, false debates, because we know from science that it's absolutely not true that genes determine all or even most of how we turn out. The fact is that genes are very, very important for establishing the basic structure of our nervous systems. Things like our temperament, things like our preferences, all sorts of things have genetic influence, and genes are very important. But we do know that experience shapes the way our brains get connected up before birth and after birth by the way in which experience leads to the firing of neurons, and that process actually activates certain genes to allow proteins to be produced, which allow connections to be made in the brain. To say it really simply, experience changes brain structure.
And what we know now is that the baby's genes provide an array of possibilities, and the baby's experience selects from those possibilities and takes direction. It takes direction from the experience.
Researchers have found that new neurons and connections lead to new ways of thinking, feeling, and acting. Even if our earliest experiences aren't the very best, we have the ability to change and succeed in life. Each baby's future holds infinite possibilities. The last principle we want to share is that imprints from early experiences can be enhanced or transformed at any time.
People used to think that once early childhood is past, it's over. And there's no question that the early years of childhood, including the prenatal period, are very important. But I think the science is suggesting that there is a larger opportunity for making a difference than we used to believe. The exciting news is that new synapses can continue to be formed throughout the lifespan, and it even appears that new neurons can grow in the brain. And the areas that these new neurons appear to grow in are integrative regions, meaning that they are long fibers that extend out to connect very separated areas in the brain together as a functional whole.
We begin now to have the happiest life we can have because the potential is there. It may hide for a while, but the potential is always there to have good relationships with our children, with our spouses, and with ourselves.
I'm extremely hopeful that people can take these ideas and use them even with adults who feel like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, whereas it's just not true. The brain continues to grow throughout the lifespan with new connections, and it looks like even new neurons, which are in the particular areas that we want to promote for people being open and connected to others. It's good to start early, but it's never too late to make a difference.
Isn't this exciting? Life is so amazing. Remember the creation of stars? These are supernovas, giant stars whose hearts give birth to all the elements we need in our bodies. And here we are at conception. We are all really made of star stuff. Babies know. This is just the beginning. Now you know what we know.
Another day's past. You're growing so fast.